A 102.5 forecast, and this weather forecast is brought to you by some web hosting and domain names at ozsome.com. Good Tuesday morning. Pretty good chance of rain showers today and tonight. Mostly cloudy skies. The high 40 to 45 and the low about 33, 34. There might be some sleet mixed in tonight. Rain and freezing rain and sleet, then partly to mostly cloudy with occasional rain showers Wednesday in the low 40s. Thursday, partly to mostly sunny in the mid-40s or so. Your life, your music, we're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Catherine Drew. The political crisis continues in the Maldives as police there have arrested 2 senior judges just hours after the government declared a state of emergency. Turmoil in major financial markets is expected to continue after Asian stocks followed the US to see heavy sell-offs. And the actor who played retired cop Martin Crane in the US sitcom Frasier has died at the age of 77. John Mahoney starred as the no-nonsense dad in the series for 11 seasons.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
KLEK 102.5 FM, good morning to you on your Tuesday. It's February 6, 2018. This is Community Conversations. Here to Wonder is in the studio with you. I am flying solo today. Quabila is at home. She's not feeling well, so we definitely want to keep Quabila lifted up in prayer for a speedy recovery so she can get back in the saddle. Today I am joined by my special guest, Mr. Kenneth Tidwell. Mr. Tidwell is of Forest Home Church of the Nazarene, and they have an event coming up February 24th, the annual Wild Game Dinner. It's going to be at their Family Life Center. Admission is free, and so we're going to just talk about the dinner, and we're going to talk about some of the things they're going to be doing at there. They're going to have a presentation where they're going to deliver a word from the Lord as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. How you doing today, Mr. Tidwell?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
All right, well, let's start off. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your church.
Okay. My wife and I have been in Jonesboro now for about 28 years, and we've been members of Forest Home Church of the Nazarene for that period of time, and we're a local church here. We're on Windover Street there, just directly across from the Ritter Communications Building, 2403 Ritter Drive. And it's open to anyone that would like to attend. We meet for worship at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings, and then we have Sunday school after that around 10:45.
Okay, and that brings us to the event coming up. Now, how did this, before we kind of go into the event itself, let's maybe talk a little bit about how the event came about, the Wild Game Dinner. Because when I was looking at the flyer, and we were talking a little bit off the air, about some of the different foods that's going to be served, which we will get into a little later. And that's definitely unique, something that you don't see, like different foods that people don't normally eat, they'll be available. Of course, there'll be regular food as well if you can't just bring yourself to try the exotic stuff. But how did this Wild Game Dinner come about?
Well, we have a number of hunters and fishermen in the church, and we just wanted to get together to combine our interest and love of the outdoors with sharing a good meal and fellowship together. And initially it just started out as just a few men from the church meeting together, and soon we started inviting in speakers, Christian speakers, that had not only a message about hunting or fishing, or we've had outdoor photographers. We've been blessed enough to have the duck commander of Duck Dynasty actually was with us back many years ago, and we've had a number of good speakers. We don't want to hear just about the outdoors, though, as we want to hear a spiritual message as well about the need for Christ, and that's the most essential element, we think, in what we do.
Okay, so basically the meal kind of helps to draw the crowd.
Correct.
And you got to feed the body, and then you're going to feed them spiritually with
Amen.
The word as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely good. That's definitely good. Now, when we were talking off the air, you said that the show was kind of in a rebuilding because you all were doing it for years, and then your church burned down, and it kind of had to stop doing it for a while, and now it's kind of coming back. So let's talk about that rebuilding process.
Mm-hmm. Well, we had the event actually 15 years consecutively, and we had the 16th annual Wild Game Supper planned for 2014, and unfortunately our church burned to the ground about 15 days prior to that event. And so we have just gone through a rebuilding process and finally gotten our new facility on the 2nd of October of 2016. We've been worshiping there now since that time. And last year was our first year back with the Wild Game Supper. And we had a great speaker, great food, great fellowship. And I think we all had a great time there last year, and hope people will come out and join us again this year. It's not just a church event. This is really a community outreach ministry, and really our goal is to reach people throughout Northeast Arkansas, not only Christians but non-Christians and especially non-Christians.
Well, that's what it's all about,
Sure.
winning souls for Jesus Christ. This is an opportunity to do that by providing this meal and then getting into the message. So let's go ahead, because I know people who are tuning in, and of course, if you have a question, you can give us a call at 870-277-1080, or you can weigh in on our Facebook live feed. So, okay, when you say wild game, what exactly are you talking about?
Okay. Well, we serve all sorts of things that hunters and fishermen would acquire. We'll have lots of venison there, deer. We'll have elk. We should have lots of waterfowl, meaning ducks and geese. We've got a lot of pheasants this year that we're going to be serving. We usually have quite a few doves that we serve. We serve some pretty exotic stuff too that some people may not have tried before. We have an avid coon hunter that's always prepares raccoon. He's a local pastor. We also have we've had beaver in the past and bobcat and a number of things. We have frog legs and alligator. We're still working on trying to acquire alligator. We had alligator meat last year. Have lots of different types of fish, freshwater fish, saltwater fish. And I want to emphasize that if you're scared off by wild food, we've got lots of tame food. And in fact, we first serve just as much tame food as we do wild food. Plenty of kid-friendly food. This is a family event. It's open to men and women, boys and girls of all ages. Anybody that wants to come.
Well, we certainly hope people come out. The event, once again, is February 24th, and I believe, looking at the flyer here, it starts at 5 o'clock p.m. at their Family Life Center. This is Forest Home Church of the Nazarene, located 2403 Richard Drive in Jonesboro. Now, getting kind of back to the wild game a little bit, I'm sure you have stories of people who, tried the food, and some may have said, "Oh, this is great," or or the opposite, like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
Can you share a couple stories like that?
Well, I haven't heard many of the stories that you're talking about. I think most people really enjoy it. Some people have kind of a mental block.
Just can't bring themselves to do it.
Yeah, can't bring themselves to do it, and that's why we don't force anyone to do anything like that. You gotta be willing and ready to try, something new. But it's surprising how good some of these dishes taste. We have we're really blessed with some awesome cooks. We've got a cooking team that actually works all night long on Friday night and Saturday to prepare all these meats. And there's actually some really excellent healthy recipes that, we utilize. A lot of the wild game is really low in fat content, and it's really a healthy meat alternative. But we've got traditional stuff. If you want to bring your children, I can assure you we'll have plenty of pizza and fried chicken and hot dogs and kid-friendly food. Or if you're a healthy eater, we'll have healthy options. We'll have baked chicken and lots of vegetables and salads and casseroles, and so there's just about there's something there literally to please every palate, and that's our goal there.
All right, so let's go ahead and move into the speaker that you have for this event. I'm going to just read this from the flyer you sent. The guest speaker is Brody Swisher from www.brooutdoors.com, and it says, Brody Swisher is a world champion game caller, having won the NRA's Great American Game Calling World Championship known as the Super Bowl of Game Calling Contest. His hunting and game calling seminars and exciting hunting adventure video presentations have been featured at events across the country, including wild game dinners, outdoor expos, conferences, sportsmen's banquets, camps, clinics, schools, and church services. Brody is also an outdoor writer with articles appearing in magazine and internet columns across the country. His annual road trips take him throughout the country, filming hunts for a number of outdoor video productions. Brody's hunts have appeared on Jay Gregory's Wild Outdoor TV show, on the Outdoor Channel, Double Bull Outdoor TV show, and Primo's Double Bull Year on the Ground video series. So let's tell me a little bit more about the speaker and what he's going to bring to the event.
Well, he's going to show a number of video clips of different hunts that he's done. He's an avid bow hunter, actually. We've got some flyers printed up, and you're looking at some of those right now that show some of his. He's actually killed bear and deer and wild turkeys. He's even done some bow fishing as well, and where they actually utilize a bow and arrow to shoot fish with. But he'll show different ways in which he lures these game in. He calls them in, and he makes his kills via that. And then also at the end of the message, that's the most important part of the message, is that there's a spiritual tie-in.
In which we was going to transition into that. So, so let's go ahead and talk about the spiritual part. What can people expect from that?
Yeah. Well, our sole focus here is on the saving message of Jesus Christ. We believe that we were all born as sinners, and all have failed and fallen short of the glory of God, and that we're in need of repentance, and more than that, we're in need of a Savior, and that's Jesus Christ. And so they're not only going to hear about how to acquire big game and the hunting skills, but more important, a life skill and the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. And we, believers are more than welcome, to come there. We sure want non-believers there to hear, the gospel message, the message of the grace of Jesus Christ. But we want to support our Christian brothers and sisters as well through a fellowship event like this.
Once again, we're speaking with Mr. Kenneth Tidwell of Forest Home Church of the Nazarene, talking about the 2018 annual Wild Game Dinner that's going to be Saturday, February 24th at 5 o'clock p.m. at the Family Life Center, and the church is located at 2403 Ritter Drive in Jonesboro. This is a free event, so there'll be opportunity to check out wild food, but if you're squeamish and you just can't, stomach or to think about eating, something out of the wild, they have regular food that you're used to as well. And then, of course, there will be fellowship, there'll be a speaker, and as Mr. Tidwell mentioned, there will be a word that can spiritually feed you. And of course, I'm assuming that you all will have an invitation to Christ at the very end.
Yes, absolutely.
So we have a Facebook shout out to Lachey Robinson. Appreciate you for checking in on our Facebook live feed. Now, as far as like staffing of the event, what do you do concerning volunteers? Is it all church members that participate, or do you all have volunteers come in from other places? And if so, if someone wants to volunteer for this event, how would they get in touch with you?
They could call the church 932-9069, or look at the church website, which you can just look up Forest Home Nazarene Church, Jonesboro, and you'll immediately come to that website. But primarily, the volunteers for the event, we want to serve the community. We certainly don't discourage anybody. In fact, we've got members from outside the church that help to support this ministry. But anyone that feels led to help us, we'd love to have you on board in this ministry. It's a pretty big event. This starts with lots of publicity to try and get the word out, because we certainly want to draw people in for food and fellowship and hear this great speaker. But we have a team of people that decorates up the church sanctuary, creates sort of an outdoorsy theme. You're going to see lots of game mounts when you come in that night. You're going to see lots of camo. And then we have a big cooking team there. We actually have it all divided up. We have a lead cook, who's Doug Hogger, He's just an excellent ex-Navy cook that knows how to cook for a lot of people, and certainly we have a lot of mouths to feed. We've got like a fish fry team, we've got a smoking team, we've got a big kitchen team. We've got servers lined up and greeters at the doors, and we should have some parking attendants out there that night. And so we feel like we're prepared to serve in any way that we can there.
Well, it looks like you pretty much got all the bases covered now. Are you all also looking for donations, either monetary donations or donations of food?
Yeah. It's actually it's like we said, it's a free event. Those that feel led to donate monetarily or via a food donation will certainly accept that. We'd love to have that. In fact, I do a lot of asking every year of. I've got a group of hunters around town, hunters and fishermen that I appeal to help us clean out their freezer some, and that's how we acquire a lot of our wild meats. Of course, we have to purchase some other goods from Sam's and Walmart and other stores around town in order to, supplement what we can acquire. You obviously need lots of cooking supplies, so we can accept any donations. If anyone would feel led to contribute in any manner, we're sure happy to receive that.
Okay, well, it definitely sounds like it's going to be an event to remember. I know that we said off the air, I'd asked how many people typically attend, and I think you said there's been some years you all have had up to 500 people.
Yeah, that we've had as big a crowd as that. Last year we were down a little bit because we had been in a rebuilding stage, after having had to cancel the event for 3 years consecutively. But it's a family event this year, so it used to be a men and boys only event, but we transitioned into an entire family event, which most of these events now are. And we try to create, just as non-threatening of an atmosphere, and I think that's what's real appealing to a lot of wild game suppers. A lot of people that necessarily wouldn't step in a church otherwise would be happy to come to an event like this that they perceive as, less threatening to them, possibly.
And you mentioned it being family friendly, and earlier you said about how they're going to have the different wild game mounted. Mm-hmm. I bet the kids really enjoyed it. I bet seeing the wild game and the different animals that hunters have killed and have mounted, and I'm sure the kids probably are some of the bravest ones when it comes to trying the different foods. So how do the kids respond to it?
The kids are just a real blessing to have there every year. We've actually got a guy from Arkansas Game and Fish. His name's Chuck Long. He's the educational coordinator for Northeast Arkansas Game and Fish, and he comes annually to our event, and he brings a lot of different things that kids can touch, the deer antlers, and they can touch all sorts of different pelts of animals, and he's got lots of resource materials that he can hand out to kids. And so we try to make our event, like I said, from not only the food, but some of the educational opportunities to learning about the outdoors, just as friendly as we can to the youth.
So are there plans to maybe if not this year, maybe in future years, to incorporate maybe some kind of things for the kids, show them some tips or something on hunting, or even just for the general public that might be interested?
Sure, yeah. Our speakers each year, they share whether we have a fisherman. We've had lots of fishermen speak in the past as well, whether it's talking about fishing or hunting, or just talking about different techniques that might yield a little bit more success, whether they be fishing or hunting for them, because it's a game of trickery. Anytime that you're trying to catch a fish, or you're trying to harvest a deer or a duck or whatever,
Well, I can imagine that, because you mentioned earlier that the speaker, he actually hunts fish with a bow.
Yes,
I mean, I'm just imagining, standing at the river or a lake and, trying to shoot. I mean, I'm guessing the arrow has like the line attached to it, so I guess if you hit it, you pull it out. I mean,
right. Yeah.
I barely get by just casting the rod. So that actually would be pretty neat to actually see, someone use a boat to do it. That's definitely different.
It's becoming a pretty big sport, actually. They have a big national bow fishing tournament up at Table Rock Lake each year. Bass Pro has a bow fishing team, so it's really it's a pretty popular sport nowadays. Bow fishing. I've never done any of that personally. I'm a underwater spear fisherman. I fish on scuba, and that's legal to do in the state of Arkansas. So,
I bet that's pretty cool.
A lot of the fish that we serve at the event in past years has actually been fish that I've acquired through that, and also through rod and reel fishing.
Now, when you do scuba fishing, are you afraid of alligators or anything else coming up while you're underwater? I guess the places you go probably you don't have to worry about that. Huh?
I've never seen any alligators in the water. I've seen a few snakes, and I've seen lots of turtles and things like that. But no, I'm really not, because in most instances they're far more afraid of you than you are of them. So no, you just have to be careful and safe.
Well, definitely have learned a lot today. We are speaking with Mr. Kenneth Tidwell of Forest Home Church of the Nazarene. They are having their annual, let me pull this up again, the annual Wild Game Dinner that's going to be Saturday, February 24th at 5 o'clock p.m. at the Family Life Center at the church. It's free admission. The church is located at 2403 Ritter Drive in Jonesboro. They're going to have all kinds of food. They're going to have wild food, pretty much anything that hunters typically hunt in the wild, and even some things that you may not even heard of. They're going to have that. And then if you don't want to try that, they're going to have regular food as well. They're going to have Brody Swisher, who is going to be the guest speaker. He's a world champion game caller, and he's been all over the place. He's going to provide some hunting tips, some good hunting information, and then of course they're going to finish it off with a word from the Lord, because even though fellowship and the food is bringing you there, the goal is to win souls for Jesus Christ. So we definitely hope that some souls will be won on that night and for that event. We want to thank Mr. Tidwell for stopping by the studio today. We got 2 minutes. Anything else that you want to say, or just one last little final pitch to get people to come out?
We'd just love to have you to come. Anyone that comes, I can assure you three things. Is number one, it's an awesome meal, no matter what you're looking for. Like you said, we have lots of different variety. It's a great meal. It's awesome fellowship, and you're going to hear a great speaker with a good spiritual message, and that's the most important element. And I sure thank you for having me this morning, and hope to see you there too.
Well, I'm putting it on my calendar. I'm going to come check out today. So I guess my last question be, what should I check out first?
Whatever
give me a suggestion.
Duck gumbo's one of my favorites.
I've had duck. I've had duck before when my mom would cook duck for Christmas, along with the. We actually had duck in ham. We didn't actually have turkey. So I've had duck in dressing before. So I may have to give that duck gumbo a try.
It's really, really good. We've got some excellent cooks at the church. We really do. I think you'll be pleased with anything that you try. And if you try something you don't like, we're going to have lots of other alternatives for you.
Well, I definitely look forward to it. Once again, Mr. Tidwell, we want to thank you for stopping by the studio. Once again, the Wild Game Dinner, Forest Home Church of the Nazarene, 2403 Ritter Drive in Jonesboro, 5 o'clock p.m. at the Family Life Center. All ages are welcome. It is free admission, open to men, women, boys, and girls of all ages. Brody Swisher is the guest speaker. He's a world champion game caller. He's been all over the world. Come out, have fun, have food, have fellowship, but most importantly, if you're not saved, come to Jesus Christ. Have a great day. May the Lord bless and keep you. This is Kate, LEK, on 2.5 FM.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
What did I learn from a fight with my wife? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute.